Craig's voice is so fucking loud when that all starts. Okay, we're live. Now recording is what he says. Fuck.
Now recording.
And yes, did you start your stuff up?
I did.
Here we are. We're back. Another episode of blank podcast. We've got
To be
whiskey.
announced.
Yes. So in the future, these will be a little more like normal. Intro, just start kind of, hey guys, how's it been? How you been doing? But since we're, leading right in out of another episode, we're just going to be, doing our intro. But we didn't talk about what we had been playing or any of that shit. So we're going to actually talk about that because there is stuff that I've been playing that you guys don't know I've been playing. Actually, never mind.
Is it WoW?
No, no.
I mean, we can still introduce ourselves like quickly, just the names.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm your guy. I'm not gonna say host because we're all hosts, but I'm Liquid, the Prince.
I'm
Your
Vep.
boy Arlo.
I'm Vep.
Sorry, Vep, I talked over you there. I was like, I don't know who's going next. I'm just gonna go for it. I think you had the same thought.
I was just going clockwise for some reason.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's my bad. I dropped the ball on that one.
Wait, clock?
Clockwise?
Oh,
you introduced me first, and then I did, and then Arlo did.
Right. Yep. I know it should have been Arlo, me, then you, but fuck it.
Yeah, it doesn't
But
matter.
Here's a question: Are you so you just want to go by Vep, not Vepricos?
Well, you don't go by Liquid Prince, so
I just think it's too long to go by that. You know, it's just Liquid Prince. Nobody wants to do that shit. They always limit it to one word. That's why Arlo went by Arlo and not Arlo Drip Nipple.
Drip nipple? Was that what you said?
Yeah, I think it's just drip, but I threw the nipple in there because he's got great ones.
Do you have great nips? I take a lot of pride. Thank you.
Yeah. But yes, I did want to ask everybody what they had been playing and what you plan on playing. It's like what's coming out in 2023. 2022 is right here at the end. What's coming out next year that you guys are really looking forward to? I'm very curious.
Song?
If anything.
Silk Song?
Hollow
Knight
anything
Silk
else? Just got done talking about it being your favorite game, so that makes sense.
I'm not looking forward to anything, man. I live my life one quarter mile at a time, and whatever comes to me comes to me. I just go on Steam and look for what's on sale.
I do. That is the beauty of you.
Speaking of which, Steam is having a sale right now. It's really good. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, but I'm usually the same way. But this is just a game that I've been waiting for years. There's one.
No, I get it. If they were like, "Hey, Last of Us 3 is coming out," I'd be like, "I'm in. Let's go." I will sit outside of GameStop and I will get a physical copy, and then I'll download it to my console and then give the physical copy to Liquid. He could be the one responsible for the plastic waste.
It's funny because I'm the complete opposite. I get so hyped on new shit, like all the new shit that's coming out. But I think it's because I love so many different studios that are releasing games. So I just every second I'm like, oh my god, Yakuza's releasing a new game. Oh, holy shit, Team Ninja's releasing a new game, and I lose my mind about all of it. But that could actually be my downfall because I spend way too much money in video games. But yes,
there's no such thing.
True, and I did take advantage of that Steam sale. I bought 4 games just the other day.
Me too.
I have some waiting in my cart, just like 4 or 5 games or something, and I'm just biding my time.
Yeah, what games?
I have It Takes Two because I haven't played that yet.
So
and you need a friend. You need a friend though.
No, I have a friend that I'm gonna play it with.
Oh.
And I have a couple of indie games. I also have Hades because I still haven't bought it yet. But I've been meaning.
Wow, yeah, that's a great one.
To play it for ages, like since it came out too.
And now the sequel got announced, so you have to get it done.
Yeah, I know.
Then you can be hyped on Hades too.
True.
Oh, that would have been Arlo. That would have been one for you. You're not excited?
That's true. I am looking forward to Hades too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I bought. Let's see. I got from my family for Christmas. I got like a $20 gift card on Steam. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'll just go and take advantage of this sale. And I bought like 4 games for like $3. It's pretty nice.
I gotta
But
say, dude, I would have taken that because yesterday I spent like $18 on Steam to buy like 3 or 4 games.
yeah, it was great. I bought one I've actually been playing the shit out of, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit because it is way beyond what I actually expected. But I bought a couple of old games that I wanted to replay. So I bought Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. It was like $4. I was like, I got to. I bought Fury. I've been wanting to play that for a long time. It's like an indie game. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Mhm.
And
I've seen the games that you bought because they show up in my like activity feed. Everything you buy and everything you play shows up in my activity feed.
That's hilarious. Nice, yeah. I
like,
bought
everything
Fury.
you say, like, I knew that. I knew that.
Yeah. Well, you don't know my thoughts. I hope.
Do I?
Damn it, she's reading my damn mind. What else did I buy? There's the third game before the fourth one, I'm pretty sure. Oh, Grand Theft Auto 4. I wanted to replay Grand Theft Auto 4.
Nice.
So I rebought it. Yeah.
Classic.
I love that shit from back in 2008. That game, I was addicted to that shit. And I was like playing Nico Bellic's story again on the Steam Deck. It just sounded like a dream come true. So I was like, all right, I got to buy that. And so I bought that. But then this fourth game, which I didn't really, and I know Vep already knows what I'm gonna say because she's been reading my freaking log. But
it's not
called,
specific to you.
I know. But it's called Vampire Survivors. All right, and I have to talk about this fucking game,
bro.
Wow,
it's so good.
I'm addicted.
It's so good.
I just right before this, like right before we did the last episode, I was actually sitting on the couch with the Steam Deck playing for fucking like 20 minutes trying to like get it past this level. I was like, holy shit, like this might actually be the best gameplay of 2022.
I don't understand how it's like $2. And I'm like, you people need to learn like how business works. Sell this for more.
Yeah.
You're not getting enough money.
Yeah. It blows my mind. And I bought the DLC. With the DLC, it was like $5.
So good, dude.
I've seen so many people play this game now, and I don't really get it.
Fab, it's only $3.
It's the most simple. Vampire Survivors, it captures the arcade game, like gameplay style so well. And because it does like such a simple thing so elegantly, it's addictive.
Agreed.
And so the replay value is really high. It's like Hades. Like Hades was the same way, right? Where it's like it's got that very simple sort of arcade style, but then they build in like a not power-ups, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, it's that like roguelike type gameplay, right? So
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
you're doing the same shit.
Yeah, each round is so short too, so it's like just one more.
Right,
one more.
exactly. And Vampire Survivors does that so damn well. I'll like die, and I'll be like, "Fuck it, I'm going right back in."
With 8-bit graphics.
Yeah, it's
like
insane.
Very, very like it's just bullet hell basically.
It's very minimalistic, and the combo, the attacks are auto. Literally, you don't even attack; it just auto attacks for you. But there's something about it where you're moving around and you're like taking out all these fucking enemies. Sometimes a bunch of skeletons, sometimes a bunch of plants. And you're just taking them out, but you're moving around. You got to kind of dodge the enemies. That's mostly the gameplay, and then deciding on your abilities and what you're going to be using next after you collect enough blue little cases to drink so you can get your fucking bar all the way up so you can get a new ability. It's fucking addictive. And then after doing that shit, after that you die, say you die, and you have enough money that you built from the last round, you can actually buy some of these abilities in the menu before you go into the match. So then it gets even fucking crazier. And I'm telling you, like, I'm shocked that the frame rate is just staying at a 60 frames because there's so much shit on the screen at one point. I was like, what the fuck?
I was going to ask how your Steam Deck is doing because like even like when I started off playing on mobile on my phone, and once you get to like the later levels, it's just like there's so much going on that you get like maybe a frame every few seconds.
So it's funny, I went to launch the game and it asks how you want to launch the game, and so I guess it's already been incorporated into Steam to launch it with the GPS lag switch or whatever, or some shit like that. It's a fix so that basically frame rate is like not going fucking bonkers while you're playing. Nice. So, but it is addictive as shit. I mean, most addictive game I played.
So scary. That is so scary. I get so easily addicted to games.
Well, yeah, but it's beautiful. And hey, the beautiful thing about you, Vap, is you love to collect achievements. There's 109 of those bitches on the Steam version.
You know what? When you say that, it's like maybe I shouldn't. Now you're talking me out of it because
no, it's a beautiful game. Like it's a perfect
it's
game
an
to like
type of thing. Like I need
Yeah,
to
it's
do
really
it.
it's not like it's not a no lifing game. It's just one of those where once you pick it up, you're like it hits this really simple part of your brain where it's like I am just having a good time right now.
yeah,
It's
Yeah,
not
like-
like I have to do this for the like forever and ignore my responsibilities for it. It's just
Yeah.
like I'm having a lot of fun, and there's no complication, there's no frills. It's just a good video game.
Is it like the game version of TikTok?
You could argue that maybe a little. I will say this, like I was at my brother's visiting for Christmas, and I've been playing Judgment, on the Xbox, and so I was remote playing it onto my phone so I could play it. And I just kept getting so fucking distracted by everybody talking and everybody hanging out. So I was like, I can't play Judgment. I can't just sit here and play Judgment. So I put Judgment down, and I had just gotten that Steam card, and I had bought Vampire Survivors. I start playing that shit, and it was beautiful. I'm sitting there hanging out with everybody, but I'm playing Vampire Survivors, and I'm like, holy shit, like this is so good. And everybody like looks over to my Steam Deck, and they're like, what the fuck are you playing? Like, and I was like, oh, this is so addictive. Like, you guys got to play it. It doesn't look impressive when you just look at it.
Yeah.
But when you're playing that shit, and like no matter what situation you're in, it's pretty easy to play. So I think it's a beautiful thing, especially for Steam Deck. It's like nominated for best on the go game, and hell yeah, it's nominated. It is the best on the go game.
It should have won. I think when I was at your apartment for the Game Awards,
Yeah.
I forgot what exact award it got nominated for. It wasn't on the go. It was something.
Was it nominated for something? I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was. It was not. It was like new
best new indie, maybe.
It might have been best new indie. It was something that like Stray won or something like that.
Of course. No.
Yeah, offense. And I was like, dude, come on, son. Like it's so
yeah.
You've got this game that was made so simply. And this is going to transition really well into Limbo because they have kind of similar. The reason why I love them is very similar, but the fact that it's so simple, it's no frills. It's not like here's crazy graphics and like a bunch of nonsense. It's just like here's a game. It's $2. Buy it. Don't buy it. I don't really give a shit. And it was just like it was so good anyway, and I loved it.
Yeah, and that's beautiful because I do have. I did write notes about that, the simplicity of Limbo, so we will be getting into that. But but no, not just to talk about Vampire Survivors, but what has everybody else been playing? I just been addicted to that shit, so it's been my whole life right now.
Man, I wish that I was playing something that I'm like as passionate about as I am Vampire Survivors.
Yeah. But hey, I didn't actually know that you had played it, so that's awesome. Like I
played it. Yeah, it's not on my Steam. I played it. It popped up on Reddit for me one day, and it was like, "I made this game. Try it out." And so, like, I tried it out, and it was browser based at the time. And so I played it in the browser based version. It had a phenomenal time, and then all of a sudden, I saw it everywhere. And then they released it on the app stores, and then eventually to Steam. And I was like, "This is nuts!" And then when I saw Vampire Survivors on the nomination list for the Video Game Awards, I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Because I thought that I had been playing like some person's version of Neopets, basically. And then all of a sudden I see it on Video Game Awards, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah. And it's awesome too, because I was using like on this website that I watch a lot of people and what they're playing, video game related. A lot of people, going back to what we were talking about in the last episode about how indie games have kind of just spread across consoles. So Xbox, Microsoft, I guess, got some of the rights to like release it on their systems. So they released it on the Xbox One and Series. A lot of people on that side are playing it on that. So it's cool to see them like discovering it through like the Xbox. I don't know if it's on Game Pass. I'd like to know that, but it's cool.
Yeah,
to see that.
it's one of those rare games that is like grassroots, right? It's like it started as simple as you can get, a browser-based mobile game for people to play. And now all of a sudden, like all of the big console providers or developers, producers, they're like vying to get that onto their platform.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, this is not how it works. Like you're supposed to sell yourself to these people and convince them that they should put you on their stores, but it's the opposite. And I don't know. I just love that.
It's amazing. Yeah,
is
it's
it like
amazing.
is it like a new Among Us then or something?
Kind of, sort of, right? Where it's like it's a very, very simple concept.
Liquid didn't like that at all.
Yeah, don't look, Among Us. It has its own, minus all the memes and shit that society has come up with for it. It is a cool game concept.
Absolutely, and it was being nominated for a game. It was being nominated in the year that it fucking came out. Among Us getting nominated for like best multiplayer in 2022 when it's 2018 that it came out. That's fucking bullshit. That's the only reason I talk shit about Among Us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say very similar, Vep, as far as like it's very addictive, like Among Us. Like if you start playing Among Us with friends, it's like very addictive. You want to play the next round. You want to keep playing.
I meant more like the popularity of it, like how it's.
No, because I think that I think Among Us got popular because it was just fun with a group. I think Vampire Survivors is getting popular because the gameplay is so addictive. I think Among Us is more game or multiplayer related, like Fortnite, on why it got so popular. Like it's fun to play with people. And then I think Vampire Survivors is just getting popular because the gameplay is so damn addictive that you can't put it down. I'd compare it more to Candy Crush or something like that.
That's better. Yeah, that's a better comparison for sure. Yeah,
except it's got way cooler art and shit.
Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah,
things like that, where it's just like it just starts as a little thing, and then under its own merits, it ends up getting picked up and getting much bigger than it ever expected to. Right.
Yep.
Which I really, really like, because most games go the opposite way, where they're like, check this shit out. We're the best game that's ever been made.
Yeah.
And everybody needs to pick us up. And then what ends up happening is that they never live up to those expectations.
Yep.
And
yeah.
Just you get cyberpunk, right? Like that's what you get out of that.
And I'm worried about Starfield because of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's that's a good example. Yeah.
So you'll be very proud of me. During the Steam sale, I picked up Celeste.
Okay.
As at least Liquid knows, Vet might not know this. I've never played Celeste. I really enjoy platformers like that, so I'm looking forward to playing it. I haven't started it yet because I thought that it may come up as a game that someone suggests in the future. So I was like, I'm just going to leave this in my library for right now.
Well, I can say that I have not suggested it, but I can speak for Liquid.
Not yet.
No, because I don't think you would, because you know that I recently played it too.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop me from replaying a game or making you replay a game.
I guess.
I may play it anyway. I don't know. If it takes you too long, if someone is like, if we go through a full round here and nobody picks Celeste, I'm just going to start playing it on my own.
Yeah.
But
or
really
you can
looking
pick
forward to that one. Or I could pick it. That's true.
Yeah. But yes, the music on that game. Wow. Wait till you hear the soundtrack. You're going to be blown away.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's oh my God. And we won't get on a rant about Celeste, but yes, wow.
And then what I started playing last night that I'm looking forward to playing again today is Disco Elysium, which is another indie game, but it's kind of like a point and click. It's more narrative driven.
I've heard amazing things. My brother absolutely adores it. I haven't played it myself, but
dude, it's super cool, man. It's like a visual novel sort of game, but not as like, I don't know. Visual novels, they're basically just like, here's one frame.
Yeah,
here's some dialogue options, that sort of thing. It does kind of work that way, but it's a lot more. I mean, it's an isometric sort of like third person view, right?
Right.
It's more dynamic, maybe.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Dynamic. That's a good word for it. So it's more dynamic. You get to interact with your environment more, that sort of thing. But the actual like nitty gritty mechanics of the game are based in kind of a visual novel sort of organization. And so like, and that part of it is so incredibly good. And it has like elements of like tabletop gaming where it's, like role based dialogue and that sort of thing. So, and then based on the way that you build your character, you have different skills that would give you advantages in roles.
like in dialogue, like it would give you advantage in like dialogue.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay,
like if you're talking to somebody, you play a detective essentially, right? And if you're talking to somebody and you have like a high amount of perception, or like you're able to, or your skill set allows you to notice when somebody's lying or something like that, it'll give you an option like that other people wouldn't get, right? Or somebody that doesn't have that skill set, it would pop up and it'll say like, I think this guy is bullshitting me. And you can click on that and it will roll dice basically. And those dice added on top of your modifiers will give you either the option to go through with that dialogue or not.
That's cool. Yeah, it's more like a more complex version of like what BioWare did with their games, kind of like Mass Effect and Dragon Age.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's sick.
Yeah, it's like D&D basically, right?
Yeah. I've been told I need to play that game multiple times for story alone. So it's just not even gameplay and stuff. Just I've heard the story is incredible with the detective shit.
Yeah.
So I need to check that out at some point. It's on sale, you said? Maybe I'll look into it.
Yes. It's pretty heavily discounted right now. I forgot how much exactly it was. But yeah, highly recommend.
Okay, I will look into that. Vep, how about you? What have you been playing? I know A Hat in Time, right? And then
yeah, I mean, what I'm playing right now is A Hat in Time, which I haven't played before. It's my first playthrough of it. I'm really enjoying it. It's a little bit janky, but
platformer, yeah, right?
Yeah, it's like a 3D platformer, and I think it was made as like a love letter to 3D platformers in general.
So I may be wrong about this, but I think the guy, I don't know who created it, I forget the name, but I think the guy who created it saw what they did with Yooka-Laylee, and he wanted to make a true 3D platformer based on like the old platformers back in the day, because the Yooka-Laylee wasn't great.
I don't remember what year did Yooka-Laylee come out.
I think it was like 2017, 2016.
Yeah, because this one came out in 2017, so it can have been.
Okay, well maybe that's different. Maybe a different game, but I think he saw like something happening with 3D platformers, and he decided to make A Hat in Time or something.
Yeah, I don't know for sure though.
Hat in Time.
But it's apart from the jankiness and some of the camera angle stuff, I really enjoy it. Like the music is great. I was sold on the music alone first, and well, I mean, it also looked really fun.
I think I remember you mentioning the music. Yeah.
This is okay. Hold on. Is this all right? There's a meme. It's like a TikTok meme where they played this character dancing along with some music. Oh my god! Hold on.
We're sure that's not Fortnite?
What's the song called again?
I don't know. It's like
I can find it.
It's one of those really popular pop. Like, well, it's a pop song.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about because someone in like my mod posted it in my Discord, and I didn't know that it was a meme though.
Yeah.
You found it?
Dance meme. Yeah, I'll send it to you guys. And maybe we'll put the music in over the we'll edit that in so that everybody can experience
okay
at the same time.
I see it over here, yeah. Maybe we'll put that in the YouTube video as well.
Yeah. No, it's a great meme because it's like it's not like a bad
like peace and tranquility or something.
I have no idea what it's called. I just know it's super boppy, dude. It's a nice little dance song to like just feel good to.
Yeah, but I think we're talking about the same one.
Okay, so
all right, sorry. So Hat in Time. Yeah, I'd never heard of that game. That's really funny because I was just when you said it, I went on Steam to look for it, and as soon as I saw the character, I recognized it.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun, and it is an indie game. Have played other games too. I'm kind of blanking out on what I've been playing, except for what we're going to talk about later.
Black Desert. I mean, you've been playing that.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of just don't count that because it's it's more like I don't actively play that much. It's mostly just AFK stuff, and then I play actively when I have time.
Right.
Because I have it on like 24/7 basically, except for when I stream or when they have maintenance.
24/7.
Because you can have AFK stuff going. Like you can train your horse without actually being in front of your PC, or you can auto fish, or you can.
Couldn't you do that in Red Dead Redemption 2 as well?
I don't know. I never played.
I'm pretty sure. I think you could. I can't remember.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of stuff you can do without sitting there and playing, which is kind of nice for when you actually want to have a life, you know?
Yeah, I was wondering how you were able to play that shit like all the time. I was like always seeing you play it. I was like, how is she online right now playing this shit?
No. I leave it on while I sleep.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, because like
it's hilarious.
It feels nice to be able to progress in something without actively doing anything, because it allows you to have a life without feeling like you're missing out on something. You know what I mean?
Right.
See, WoW doesn't let you do that.
Yeah.
No, not at all. It won't. Like, yeah, it's outside of. It's not that they're like, well, I guess maybe they're actively keeping you from doing that stuff, but just the way that the mechanics work, you'd have to have something really unique, like a key presser or something that goes like that's on some sort of a timer. I don't know. It'd be really weird, but it's definitely not built into the mechanics of the game.
Yeah, but here it is though. Like there's so many things you can do AFK, and like obviously you don't do that intentionally to just avoid playing the game, but it's nice to be able to do it without when you can't play the game. Like if you need to go to the store, if you need to go to the gym, you can still leave the game open and you can progress while not actively doing anything. So it's kind of nice.
I would not. Yeah, that's the opposite. I would not consider that nice. I'd be like, I want to be there for the game. You know, I don't know.
Well, the problem is that like those things that she's talking about are not the game. It's like there are other parts of the game that you want to be active in. Those are not the ones. So it is nice that they give you the option to like.
Yeah, exactly. Because these are not game mechanics that you actively do while you're there. It's just something you can do when you can't play, when you don't have the time to do it. But it's not like an idle type of thing, you know, with games that gives you, you know what I mean, like mobile games have like idle stuff. Yeah. So you know, it's not like clicker. That. Yeah, it's not like that. It's not like the main gameplay is the same as the AFK stuff. Yeah, because if that was the case, then that would be kind of stupid. I agree with that. What else have I been playing? Oh, actually, I also played Among Us.
I saw that.
That's why she was so defensive.
No. It was the first time that I played that game in like 2 years.
How'd that go?
Like how? I think it's 2 weeks ago now.
It's been a while, yeah.
Or was it just 1 week ago?
Because I remember seeing you stream it and I almost unfollowed, but then I kept rolling.
See how salty he is over that game?
Yeah.
I hadn't touched it in 2 years, but it was really fun actually. I haven't played it again since though. It's not really something that I can play often because it's super stressful when you have to play with other people and have voice chat on and everyone's just talking over each other, and yeah, it's very chaotic. But it's fun though, on a rare occasion. Yeah, I don't know. I think
yeah, I mean, we haven't really had, a lot of us haven't really had time to play too many video games because of the holidays, right? So
true.
It's just been, for me especially, I mean, like, unless I can play it on my handheld or something, I was constantly moving, so I was barely playing video games. I mean, I completed like 2 or 3 chapters of Judgment, and then that was it. I've been sitting on it since.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we can jump right into talking about what we're going to be talking about today. What game are we going to be talking about today? Actually, so the game that was chosen was, obviously, we talked about it earlier, was Arlo. He chose this game, and I had never touched it before. And Vep, I don't think, you hadn't touched it either.
Had it in my library. Like, I bought it a while ago, but I hadn't played it.
Okay, I had never, you know what's funny, actually? After I bought it on Steam, I'd realized I already owned it on the PlayStation. So I have 2 copies of it. So I could have just played it on the PlayStation, but I didn't know that they gave it away for free on PlayStation Plus like back in like 2017.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I just downloaded it back then, but I'd forgotten because I don't just go through my damn PlayStation Plus games that I downloaded. So I rebought it, but I don't think I would have ever actually played it until this very moment where Arlo was like, "Hey, this will be our first game." So, and it's funny because my experience with it was obviously we're going to get into it, but my experience with it was actually really, really good as far as that game goes. And that's where I want to jump into this first part where we talk about like the gameplay and the narrative of the game, because I think honestly one of the bigger things about the game isn't necessarily the gameplay, but it is the narrative. In a weird way, the narrative is told in a way that some of my favorite video games are told in, and I'll go into explaining that. I took some notes on this because it's funny because I don't think Arlo's played some of the games that I'm even going to be talking about, but the narrative of Limbo is told in a very similar way of one of my favorite video games of all time, Shadow of the Colossus. It's told in a very similar way. It gives you an idea of its plot in the very, very beginning by telling you absolutely fucking nothing. But that's giving you the idea of the plot by telling you nothing. It's weird. I don't know how to explain that. It may not make any damn sense, but
no, I know exactly what you mean, and that's why it's one of the big reasons why I really like this game is because the subtlety and I guess how like delicate they are with like giving you hints for what the actual storyline is. I like not being spoon fed storylines or like this is how you should feel right now, and like that sort of thing. An emotional moment, and then bring in the swelling stringed instruments, and now the flutes, and it's just like don't do that to me. Just let me get there.
It sounds like you're talking about Ori right now.
There are some games. Actually, there are some times where I do enjoy the like.
No, I get what you mean though.
Yeah, but I think Limbo in general. So let me start with this, right? So when you go onto Steam or like anywhere, you go to purchase Limbo. The description is literally let's see, 1, 2, 5, 9 words. That's all you get, right? So like all you get going into this game before you purchase it is uncertain of his sister's fate, a boy enters Limbo, and that's it. Right?
Which actually gives you more info than
the game itself.
Than the actual game. Right?
Yeah. I didn't read that description at all. It's not like, wait, was that his sister or was it his mom? That's what I was thinking. I was not sure about that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like they only give you, like the developers themselves, they only give you enough to just barely get you into like what the lore is behind it, right? And then they leave the rest of it. It's like they were like, my job is done here, and they just disappeared, and they don't explain anything else. And I love that part.
And you could argue that the title of the game is kind of already giving you an idea what the story is, right?
Mm.
Because I mean, you're awakened.
Because I feel like okay, no, I'm gonna say that for later because that's not part of what we're gonna talk about right now. But you get this. There is this atmosphere that is just telling you that it gives you this sense of like loneliness in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's haunting in a weird way. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's in an unsettling way. So it's not like the afterlife type of way that you feel like peaceful and stuff. So that you feel like you're in limbo makes kind of sense.
And I will say, because like, a lot of things that I'd heard about this game prior to playing it was that there was fucking like zero gameplay. They were like, there's zero gameplay. It's like a puzzle here and there, and then it's just walking. I was like, and I thought about that for a while. And I was like, maybe this isn't going to be my type of game. But it's actually, it's funny how the gameplay in video games can sometimes just be that atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like you don't need like these really impressive like platforming and crazy shit. There is a part that we will talk about in a bit about the gameplay. I don't know if you guys did the part that I'm going to be talking about, but because it's optional. But it went to show how like powerful the gameplay can be, even in these simple type games. But that's what's so beautiful about it: the hauntingness and the weird like atmosphere and the black and white. The whole video game's in black and white. that just sets a mood, and it made me want to keep pushing forward to figure out what the hell was going on, especially in the gameplay when I first discovered other kid NPCs. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was like
other
the
people in
Lord
here?
of the Flies going on.
Yeah. I was like, what's going on here? I was like, there's other kids in here?
You're
I thought I was
being
going to be
killed
the
by
only
other
one.
kids.
Yeah, they're trying to fucking kill me. And I'm like, okay, this is getting weird. I was like, this is actually getting weird, and I want to know what the hell's going on. I got to know.
And I still don't know.
Yeah, no one does, right? And that's the whole point of it. That kind of goes back to what Vep was saying about when you're dropped into the game, right? So we'll start at the beginning. When you're dropped into the game, it basically pulls back to a total black and white silhouette of a forest and a body like laying on the ground. That body then like sits up and then starts like looking around with the kind of like the
white eyes,
characteristic bright, the glowing eyes, right? And then it just, that's all it gives you, right? There's no like, here you are now here, and you're this person, and here's the way that you got here.
Here's a bunch of HUD for you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's another great thing, right? Is that there's no border, there's nothing to tell you what's going on, or whether you have like a health bar or like mana or like anything like that, right?
Yeah, the mechanics you kind of had to learn on your own too.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And so when they drop you into that, it's the entire atmosphere is built to give you that loneliness. Like Vep said, it's supposed to feel desolate. There's no one around you. There's not even a HUD to guide you, right? So like you are at the deepest level, you are alone. And so that feeling, coupled with like running into, like you were saying, running into the Lord of the Flies kids, right? Like up until that point. So as you progress through this game, you start to run into different characters, quote unquote, NPCs, right? So like the first ones that you run into are like the big spiders, and that big spider is trying to like stab at you and that sort of thing, which doesn't really help with the whole feeling of feeling alone. And then you keep progressing through it. Then all of a sudden you see other kids, and it gives you a little glimmer of hope where you're like, oh, this game can be like nice and lighthearted.
I for sure had hope. I was like, there's got to be something, like I'm going to run into a town or some shit.
Yeah, I finally get to interact with somebody, right?
I thought too that you could like talk to them or something. That they were talking NPCs like, oh, nope. Never mind.
They're trying to fucking murder me.
Bye-bye.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's what one of the things that I really liked about the narrative of this game in general is that death becomes like an accepted thing. Like it's not. I think that in a lot of games, death is like the anti equivalent of gameplay. Like when you're playing any other game, right? So let's say, let's just say, I haven't even played it, right? But I'll say Celeste, right? I can just assume that in Celeste, as you're going through a level, when you die, it's like it basically, I don't know, it
just resets you pretty much. I mean, it's like, oh,
maybe Celeste is actually more alike to it.
But yeah, what I'm trying to get at, Celeste was probably not a good example.
Yeah, because I guess Celeste, you die a lot too. Platformers in general, but it's such an acceptable part of this game where when you die, it's like, of course I died. It's Limbo, right? And like you go back to, and you keep on trying this one level over and over, and you find other things that the game has thrown into it because the game is constantly trying to kill you in ways that you don't expect it to.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, you mentioning a comparison to Celeste. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that compare. I didn't even think about that when I was writing my notes, but yes, it's a great example because yeah, you start right back at like a little checkpoint, and you got your little section that you're trying to do, and if you don't make it through that section, you're just gonna reset. But it's not long enough to where you get fucking irritated like Dark Souls or something, where you get reset and you're like, oh my god, I'm pissed off. You know, it was just like, I can figure this out.
Yeah, they even tell you that every death is like it accept it. Like it's acceptable. Or you should just don't be anyway, never mind.
Wait, did it tell you that?
Yeah, I think it tells you that in like the third level or something. like right before you start a level, you get like this prompt card or something.
In Celeste, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh! I thought you were talking about
not
Limbo.
Limbo.
I was like,
Limbo, they don't tell you shit.
Yeah,
like,
no, I know.
Good
yeah.
luck. Here's the game. Enjoy it. Don't enjoy it. I don't care. Not my problem.
Well, you know, the thing about the spider was like, oh God, are they gonna make me be chased again? Like, am I being chased here?
I know you hate being chased, and I remember there was that part where I was being chased. I was like, oh, this is gonna fucking suck for her.
Yeah. And then I love the part where they make you run back towards it.
Yeah.
Like you're like running up, and then you see the barrel coming at you. You need to run back towards the spider. They like do. There's a few times in the game where they do that really well, where they force you to face your fears in a way.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciate about this game.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I think that in general, if we're talking about, maybe I'll say, never mind. I'll save it for the outro part, because I have some like general sort of insights on this game that I want to bring up. One of the reasons why I picked this.
Yeah, right.
Go into a monologue when we get to the outro, I'm sure.
But should we go graphics part of the
Yeah,
game?
I mean, the last thing I want to say about the gameplay is, honestly, if you were to like say that this is any type of, if you had to give this game a genre, in my opinion, it's a puzzle game, right? Like most of it is a puzzle game, but the puzzles are they're very like, it takes thinking, like true thinking to try to figure these out, because it's like, there was one in particular, I think I did write a note on this because it was so unique in my opinion. It was like there are these like cogs turning, and you have to move this box. It's like kind of close to the end, but you have to kind of move this box, and you have to keep moving the box while the cogs are rotating so that you can jump on the box, so you can jump over this wheel that's gonna kill your ass. And the whole map is rotating, like the whole damn map. And I thought it was so cool because you have to keep kind of pulling that box along the way so you can use the box to keep jumping over obstacles while the map is turning. And it was just like this really crazy ass puzzle where I was like, and it took me a couple tries because I was like, do I jump now? And I jump, and I'm fucking, my body's going flying all over the place.
Dude, I didn't see the chain that you had to hang from.
Yeah. At that the first time, yes, that happened to me. I didn't see the chain. And
yeah, so that's why it took me a while too, because I thought you had to like follow the box.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So like, and when I died like the third time or something, oh shit, there's a chain here. What the fuck?
Yeah. I was like, okay, this is starting to make a little more sense.
You could have shown me that sooner.
Yeah. But yeah, that was like the main thing for me, is like the puzzles were very creative, not in a way where it was annoying or where they were trying to be too complex. It was just like it played with the gameplay. You know, it was like, okay, well, you know, keep dragging this box, and you know, you're going to solve the puzzle if you just keep up with it. I don't know, and I like that. I like the simplicity of it. But yeah, that was the main thing I wanted to talk about with the puzzles and the gameplay like that. But yes,
there is one thing that I need to say about the gameplay. I usually love puzzle games. Like, I love puzzle games, but I have never, like, I play puzzle games to relax. With this one, I raged. I was raging while playing this game, and that has never happened to me before with a puzzle game.
Right.
And I was like,
I was irritated a couple times. But wait, would you compare it to Celeste?
Well, that's not, I wouldn't say that is a puzzle game in that sense. It is.
It's like a mechanical platformer, right? There's like a difference.
I mean, I wouldn't compare those two at all. Because I didn't rage over the puzzle parts of
I think
Celeste.
I think the parts in Limbo that can be very frustrating is when the little, like, I don't know what it is, like some bug gets on your head, and then you have to fucking make it through these levels while moving, and you can't stop moving. So you're like, oh fuck, I'm coming up on the end here. I gotta jump.
Yeah, or the gravity stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Whew. That was a little rough. I think
it was like right at the end, like right at the end, like the last chapter or something.
Yeah, it took me a minute to beat it.
I got so mad at that.
Yeah, no, that was a little frustrating. But in a way, I really enjoyed it as well. It's weird. Like, I know it's frustrating, but I thought it was a really cool, like, concept.
And some of the parts with the water too. When the water's rising.
Oh yeah. Oh
Mm-hmm.
shit. Oh
That
my
was
god.
also very frustrating.
Damn. Yeah. I didn't even think about some of this stuff. Wow. Like, yeah, those were frustrating at times. But I mean, in the end, I did find that I like enjoyed a lot of it. I was like, I actually enjoyed that. It gave me time to like, or it didn't actually give me fucking time to think about it, but it gave me time. Or what is the word I'm looking for? It's like it made me appreciate it afterwards. After I had completed it and stuff,
Yeah,
I was like, that was actually really clever. That was really
yeah,
clever in a weird way.
yeah. It's like you sit there and well, I mean, for me, it was like I decided to do this on like a Saturday because a puzzle game. I'm gonna sit down and have a nice Saturday evening with some candy, maybe relax, and then just like this. This is not relaxing,
Oh my god.
but it was fun though. Yeah, I liked it. I really enjoyed it though. But it wasn't
Yeah.
what I expected.
No, I don't think actually it wasn't what I expected either. And if it wasn't for me, like if it wasn't for Arlo talking me into playing Inside a couple of years or a year ago or whenever he talked me into playing that, I think I would have went in this completely blind and been like, what the fuck kind of game is this?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, Inside gives you like I think that a lot of people played Limbo before they played if I were to guess, I would say that more people who played Inside played Limbo first. Um,
Yeah.
but Inside gives you a really good idea for how Playdead develops their games and develops
Yep.
their gameplay and that sort of thing. And so like there's a lot less surprises going into Limbo. Because you can see a Playdead game and just automatically know that it's a Playdead game.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're Danish, aren't they?
I think that sounds right. I think they are. Yes.
Mm. I just saw all the names. They all just look very Danish.
Let's see.
I actually had them pulled up.
Yep.
Yeah, they are Danish.
Copenhagen, Denmark. Yep.
Mm. Because like it was almost Norwegian, but not quite. There were too many D's.
Right. Yeah.
That's what she said.
there were too
Could
many.
never
D's.
be too many D's.
But yeah, I mean, like that, and that honestly, I think to the T covers like a lot of the gameplay. I mean, other than obviously, it's like death and air kind of shit. Like once you understand how something works in the game, it's fairly easy to kind of flow through it. And actually, I think it's a great game for like speed running. I honestly think that people could do this game for speed running. There's actually an achievement.
Yeah.
It's the only one I didn't get for fucking beating the game in 5 hours while staying under 5 deaths, which I couldn't do, but I tried.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't be surprised if there are people speedrunning that game. I mean,
yeah,
they're 100% is, I would say.
especially because the length of the game is like 2 hours at most. I think I beat it and did everything that I did in 2 or 3 hours.
Oh,
Because I collected all the eggs as well.
I think I did it in like 4 hours.
Did you collect all the eggs and do the secret level?
No.
I think I was about the same, about 4 hours. Like just taking my time and getting absolutely swapped at some parts where I did not remember what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, how long it had been since you'd played it?
That's a good question. It was probably 2012. It's probably like 10 years ago last time I played it.
Holy shit! Yeah, when I played my first indie game. Wow.
Well, that's yeah. We'll get to that.
Should we get to the graphics?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's talk about the graphics and the art direction here because I think this is probably one of the better things about the game.
That's what I was about to say. I think that Limbo, like it was the most unique, not most unique, maybe probably. It was very, very unique for its time. Back like 10, 12 years ago, like no one really did games like this. And this is going to go into what I have to say later about Limbo being part of the indie revolution and sort of like showing people that you can create a game at this level or this quality at the level that this developer is at. And I think that part of that is being very, very creative with the art direction. And that's something that you don't see with a lot of like AAA games, right? You like really they can't because they're running on like the newest hardware. They have to be able to flex it in order to convince those hardware producers to even put their games on their on their console, that sort of thing. Indie games are like, fuck all that. We're gonna make it black and white. It's gonna look like little, like basically like cardboard cutouts running around like Paper Mario, right? And that's one of the parts that I really, really love about this game. I think that
their usage of film grain here helped a lot.
Yeah,
like it set a mood that I don't even know how to explain, but yeah, like the film grain and like the black and white. At first, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I was like, I don't know. But the more I played it, the more I was like, but here's the thing: it's not any other 2D platformer. I knew I was playing Limbo when I was playing Limbo. You put Limbo in front of me and I'd be like, yeah, that's Limbo. I know it immediately. You could literally show a screenshot of something.
Yeah,
and it's like, true. You know it. A lot of 2D platformers, there are rare occasions, but it's like you look at a 2D platformer and more than likely you'll be like, which game is that from? Limbo stands apart from all these other video games still, even though it came out like 13 years ago. It still stands apart as nice, Arlo.
Sorry. I keep walking my fucking mic against my desk, like an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really made any similar looking games either.
Yeah, I mean, the only one I could argue is their other game, Inside, but it's still in color. They use the similar like mechanics, but as far as the graphics go, as like the colors and stuff like that, it's very, very different.
But Arlo, you have a tattoo of this game, don't you?
Yeah, I was good. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That was my next segue.
I feel like it's very important to mention in this.
Yeah. So it's not. So the tattoo is art, or the artwork is based off of Limbo. Because when I played Limbo, it had such a such a strong like influence on the way that I felt about video games, and a lot of that was driven off of the artwork. Something that I had never seen a game like this before, and it made me feel a way that I hadn't felt before. And so when I decided that I wanted to get a tattoo, I had a concept for the meaning behind it. And when the artist asked me to send her like examples of artwork that I liked, that I wanted to base the concept of the tattoo off of, I sent her like 40 pictures of Limbo. That's what came to me, because I was like, this game, like when I think of the concept of my tattoo, this game is what made me feel that way, basically. And so I've got, I guess since we're recording, I'll show the audience. I'm getting blurred. No, I'm getting blurred out.
Back it up a little bit. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah. So,
it's awesome. That is sick.
And what's really cool is talking to or I guess like Liquid was saying, the artwork is so identifiable, right? By people who have played the game before. When you see something that is similar to Limbo, you go like, if Inside was made by a different developer, right? The same way that we call games roguelike based off of the game Rogue, people would say it's Limbo-like, right? And Limbo is the one that established that art style. And so I think because of that, they deserve a lot of credit. And nowadays I'll walk around, somebody will just see my tattoo, if I have like short sleeves on, they'll see it like at a grocery store and they'll be like, "Oh, it's a cool tattoo, man." I'm like, "Hey, thanks." And they're like, "Yeah, did you ever play Limbo?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I have." And that's the reason I got this art style on my arm, is because I really appreciate that art style.
That's great.
But yeah, and the fact that it's not just like, oh, that's cool artwork. That's Limbo's artwork. Like, people who know it, right? And so it helps me to recognize like the game recognized game sort of thing out in the public, where when somebody recognizes it, I'm like, you're my kind of person. Like, you play indie games, you appreciate like where art style came from and that sort of thing. So anyway, love the art style. I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, and I absolutely loved it too. It's like, I don't even know.
It's very simple, but it's also effective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's crazy because there isn't much to it. but because they changed it up and they were innovative with it, it made it different. Like, right? You can look at it and be like, okay, well, this isn't the next, like, Okami or some crazy shit where them using all kinds of different colors and all this crazy like design, but it is so simple. But like Vep was saying, effective. It like I immediately knew I was like playing a one of a kind type of video game. I've played a shit ton of video games, never played a video game that looked like Limbo, and that says a lot. That says a lot about that as Limbo as a video game and Playdead as a studio. I think.
Yeah, and the fact that they can, I mean, obviously you do get like thwapped by things that you don't expect to happen, but like a lot of the dangers in the game, everything is the same palette, right? Everything is black, white, or black and gray, basically.
Yeah.
But they did a really good job of making things obviously dangerous just through like shapes and that sort of thing, right? Where like in normal gameplay or normal games, well, normal games is kind of insulting to other games, but
I know what you mean.
In other games, they make things pretty obvious. Like if there are big spikes in the ground, that sort of thing, they're like silver and gray and like very obvious. Like this is a pit. You will die if you go into this. By using colors and that sort of thing. Limbo doesn't have that, and so I think they did a good job of like, I don't know, the safe ground is like blurred a little bit, right? You get like my hands. It's just this is weird.
Like the bear traps, right? The bear traps are
exactly right. Yeah, so they did a good job of they don't have the not the comfort, but they don't have the ability to use color and like little like pop-up thing, dialogue and that sort of thing to tell you that things are dangerous, right? They have to do it in a different way where it's language less, right? In its and so they are, I think that Playdead did a really good job at identifying elements in your environment that are safe and not safe through like different methods. So in a way, it's almost like accessibility, I guess, like the way that different games are doing now. The Last of Us, right? Like the way that they've found unique ways to identify things in your environment that like some people may not be able to pick up on. They intentionally like crippled themselves by making it black and white, but did a really good job of otherwise like identifying those things in your environment for you, I guess.
Right.
It's a long-winded way of saying it, but
I get exactly what you're saying. And it's funny that you say that because it goes into that part. So like I did want to talk about this because this has to do with the art direction in a way, because after you collect all those hidden eggs in the game, we talked about this a little bit already, but there's a secret level there. So you can find one of the secret eggs at like this weird shrine. And after you've collected all the secret eggs, you can go past the shrine. The doors open. The entire like gameplay after this is based on sound and sound alone. Has nothing to do with platform, or I mean, there is platforming and stuff like that, but it's all based on what you can hear and not what you can see. Everything's black, and all you can see are the eyes of the main character, the little boy.
I didn't get to that point.
Yeah, so you have to collect all the hidden like eggs or whatever in the game to do this part. But it was like the last thing.
But I kind of want to do that now.
Yeah, it's actually very, very cool. It was the most challenging part of the game, even more so than the gravity. But it was such cool, like, I don't even know like what it was a mix of all the things. It was like a mix of the gameplay and a mix of the art direction and all these things, because it's using the eyes of the main character. It's all black and white, but then it's all based on sound. But I thought this was some of the most creative gameplay in a long time that I'd played in a platformer. I was like, holy shit, it's all based on, it basically is relying on you after you complete the game to remember what everything sounds like. And I thought that was really, really cool. I was like, because it was like, okay, this is what, spikes sound like if it's coming towards you. And so you would wait and then you would jump and you're jumping over it. There were many, many times I died because I time it wrong, but you memorize it after a while and you're like, holy shit, this is the sound of like water. I know I need to climb here. And then believe it or not, one of those little bugs falls on your head and then you start fucking running around in the dark and you're trying to figure out how to get out of there. And then you run up against a wall. Next thing you know, you can grab the wall and start pushing it. It's one of the push blocks, and I don't know. I just thought it was very creative with the art style and how they use the art style for that black and white, and to legitimately make it just black and white eyes, black freaking screen. That's it, and that's what they relied on, and I think that was a beautiful thing. And I'm glad I kind of found the conversation because I did want to talk about that level. I was blown away by that, and it goes to like, well, are collecting everything in video games rewarding? In this game, it is very rewarding. After you've collected all those eggs, you get a really, really cool creative level that you would not have seen through the main campaign. And I think that was fucking awesome. And yeah, I love that level. But that can lead into actually the next thing, the score and audio design and music, because literally that was a lot of that was audio design. It's fucking impressive. It was like all this sound of the entire game, and you were able to make it through it because you were relying on the design of the game, its audio design, and it was just, and it fucking worked. I mean, the score in the game is not, it's very minimalistic. There's
I was
not
about
a lot.
to say that I didn't do that level, but at the same time, it was like there isn't a whole lot of, like, there is no game music. Well, I mean, there is, but there's more like soundscapes, if that makes sense.
Ambient,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yep. I listened to the soundtrack prior to recording this last week.
Yeah, and
because I was like, is there a soundtrack? I can't.
Yeah, it's just cricket noises for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like there's also this like I don't even know how to describe it, because like I don't know much about music theory and everything, but it's like there are sounds that are like a pressuring type of sound that's like,
no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's like
builds up, but it's not like music, and it's not anything specific. It's just ambiance in a way.
Yeah, it's like listening to a heartbeat in a weird, strange way. Everything is very acoustic.
Yeah, and that is very effective because you can still have that like deafening quietness about it at the same time.
Yeah,
as
I think
these sounds are here, and it just adds on to the isolated and lonely type of feeling, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think the only time I ever remember there actually being music, I think I was too focused on like gameplay and everything else that I didn't focus on the music. But the only time I remember there being music was like there's this like kind of not, it was almost like epic but almost atmospheric music that happened at the very end when you kind of spoiler alert, you like bust through the wall. You remember what I'm talking about? When, like right at the end, you kind of shatter through that wall and end up kind of exactly where you were in a weird way. And I think that can be outro talk about the story, because I'm still questions about that. That'll be more outro focused, but yeah, after you busted through that, I remember there being like an epic kind of sound, a music, like a build up. It was like, and it like built up, and then you busted through the wall. But it was very effective. Like I never felt like I was like absent of music necessarily. I remember it not being like, obviously it wasn't like your One Winged Angel or any of that shit, but it was like it did its job. It did its job, and it did it very well because the atmosphere was haunting and kind of lonely, and that was that soundtrack. It built up a very bit of loneliness, and I don't know, I almost felt disturbed at times because of the way that they did the sound.
Yeah, and it's so, like, have you ever walked around in like a forest or something at night?
And you can I don't want to. That sounds scary.
But it's like when you can hear like the rustling of the grass, and like maybe you step on a twig that breaks or snaps in half or something like that. It was kind of like that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, a game that I would compare it to, surprisingly, I didn't like this.
It's
game
real life.
Real life and Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds, as far as like the way it kind of did its sound, like there was epic music when you were in space, but when you were kind of on these planets, it was kind of like lonely and very like ambient music playing, and I would compare it to that in a weird way. Which that game was also in a way disturbing. So yeah, but it did well. It did its job really, really well, because after I was finished with it, I was like I couldn't, there wasn't a tune in my head that I was humming or anything, but I was like, wow, that like it made me feel a certain way. And I was like, that must be like a good soundtrack, right? It made you feel a certain way. and you can't even remember it.
Yeah, it feels strange. I don't know how to describe. Like, I don't know why I think this, but it feels Danish. It's like when I saw that when Vep brought up that it was a Danish production company, it was like I feel like the Danes understand the idea of like quiet, like I don't know, like quiet isolation and or like nature isolation better than other cultures do.
Well, it's a Scandinavian thing, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I should qualify that a little bit better. That region of the world, right? The Scandinavian region, I think understands that the deafening isolation that nature can have, and both the beauty and the hauntingness of it. Right? It's those two things simultaneously is what makes, like Bep was saying, walking out into the woods at night or like camping, right? Like when you're camping with a couple other people and they've gone to bed and you're out there by yourself, you start to kind of recognize like there are two other people here with me, but it doesn't feel like it. And like even when you're playing, you were this character in the world, and there are other people there, obviously, who show up every once in a while. It doesn't feel like they're there. Like they're definitely not there for you, and they're definitely not there to keep you company. And so that feeling of being like horribly alone, but also like in awe of how beautiful it is, that simultaneous sort of experience is can't be understated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean they had to take. Sorry, Babby, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean you kind of get that same feeling from watching, like, there is a genre when it comes to movies and shows called Nordic noir. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Nordic noir.
That sounds like that's like the genre this game should be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to say. Like this, you understand it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole thing. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, it's a whole vibe. It's true.
Yeah,
that just comes from this part of the world, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because like I mean, at times I had like David Lynch kind of vibes, and at one point I had Tim Burton vibes at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one other thing that I compared it to where I was like, this is kind of similar to that. I'm blanking on what that was. I mean, obviously, other than Shadow of the Colossus, because you feel very alone in that game too, because there's everything in the world, but you're like the only human. Mm-hmm. And this game did it really weird too, because it was like there were humans, but they were fucking psychos. So it was like you still felt alone, like you were the only real human in there. But yeah, I mean, enough can't be said about the audio design and music and stuff, because it was so simple is why it was so effective. Like even Vep said earlier. And it's just, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
There's elegance, right? There's an elegance and simplicity, keeping things like you don't have to, like I said, you don't need big swelling like string quartets and
less is more.
You know, woodwinds, that sort of thing, to tell you when to feel the way that you're supposed to feel. I think that this game, on the audio level, did a really good job of very, very selectively picking times where it's like, we're gonna add something here that you're not creating on your own. But outside of that, we're going to allow you to be the one to create the kind of soundtrack here, right? Like whether you run back and forth right now or you stand still, you are the one who's creating the sound in the game.
Right.
And there's something really cool about that. And also, back to Vep's point, super isolating and super lonely about that, right? I think that when you play a game, and just in general, like no one really thinks about this, but when you play a game and a song, music starts to come into the environment, it feels like someone else is with you, like someone else is influencing the way that you're feeling and that sort of thing. And this game is like, nah, fam, you're fucking alone, and that sucks. And we're gonna allow you to just fucking steep in it, and that can be rough at times. So
yeah, and I mean the sound of like your fucking the deaths in the game. They don't help.
God, it's brutal, dude.
Oh yeah, all the squishy sounds and
yeah. I was like, my God, this is brutal.
They look brutal too.
It's like as brutal as Mortal Kombat in a different way.
Yeah, and I think there's a weird there's kind of there's something funny about that being like with a child too, right? I think that's like
right.
Yeah, very.
I think they intentionally made that choice where you're playing a child who's, I don't know, he probably looks like he's like 7 or 8, something like that.
Yeah.
But the deaths aren't like, oh, well, he's just gonna quietly pass away now. It's like, no, we're gonna rip his fucking head off and we're gonna throw his body. Like
no,
so
a spider's gonna stab through his body and shit.
Yeah, and
what
it's
the
that
fuck?
over and over and over again until you become so accustomed to the death of a child that it's like not a thing to you anymore. It's something really funny about that.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. And yeah, I think honestly that can lead into our outro comments, because I do want to talk about the story here. That was one of the main things I want to talk about with outro.
Are any of you like? Do you know anything about this, Arlo? About the story?
So I've researched it, and from what I can find, it's basically just like fanfic. All that's out there. I mean, there's some, and I'll let Liquid go with his theory before I start to get into what I've read about it. But like I said, the developers, from what it seems like, they were like, "Here's the thing," and then once it was out there, they were like, "See ya," and they just disappeared, and they will not respond to any. Hey, we had this idea. Like, do you want to comment on it? They're like, no, fuck, no, we do not. We're not interested.
Funny, that sounds like David Lynch of Back to the End.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What the fuck does Eraserhead mean?
Like, yeah. I don't know. Figure it out. I don't care.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean,
to me, that's frustrating.
It is frustrating a little bit, because even obviously I had thoughts. Like, I went, I didn't try to go to the internet first. I just sat there and kind of thought about it. I was like, okay, what could it mean, right? Because I love doing shit like that. I like deep diving. What does it mean? What is it? The meaning of the universe. So I'm like, I thought about it, and I was like, okay, maybe he was like looking, maybe that, obviously it says something about his sister. So he was looking for his sister in all of this. And by finding his sister, he was able to die in peace or something. I don't fucking know. I read some shit about suicide. I don't know if they were committed suicide together. I was lost, and I was hoping to come here and be like, okay, well, did Arlo have all the answers all along? But
I was kind of hoping that you had some answers too, because I didn't do any research, because I wanted to save it until
right.
We could hear.
I was too tore up about it. I had to try to learn something about it.
Yeah. So the generally accepted fanfic of this, and I may be misquoting a little bit of it, but the general idea is that Limbo is where you go essentially when you die, right? And until you decide to move on from that point, you stay there forever, basically. And the sister, all right, one of the most accepted theories is that it's a car accident. So you were in a car accident with your little sister, and the ending, again, spoiler alert, the ending when you crash through that window and you end up meeting her is the point where you've gone through, she died right before you essentially, and you were catching up with her. And so crashing through that window is supposed to signify the car accident or something like that. And then in the end, she was waiting for you before you both pass on to the next stage of death, right? Which heaven or Valhalla, whatever you believe in. She was there waiting for you at the entrance to that location, right? To that area. And that's why you see, if I remember correctly, at least when you walk up to her, she's playing in the grass or something, and there's a beam of light.
Yeah.
And so that beam of light is supposed to signify the next stage for you both to move on together. Which I think is a really beautiful concept.
In all the chaos and the ugliness, yes.
and how horrible this game is. In every other way. There's a really beautiful ending to it. There's also concepts where it's like, she's a ghost, you're chasing this thing forever. You basically like loop back around and you're just doing this for the rest of eternity, right? Like you're constantly chasing your sister.
That doesn't sound very satisfying.
That's a lot less beautiful than the first concept, but I like to accept the one where it was, like I said, she was waiting for you to move on. So
yeah, because you came back to the starting point.
Exactly. That's why I was kind of lost there.
That makes sense.
Yeah, there were other like things that people picked up on by playing this game multiple times, where it was like I forget exactly, but I think in the area where she was playing at the end, it looked like it was like a tree house or something like that, or like there was a tree there, and I'm just, this kind of synopsis of what I read, but it's something like when you first encounter that area,
there's like a hanging body, right?
It's something like that. Yes. Yeah, exactly. But then when you get back to it the second time, it's not there anymore. And so there's something about the difference there, and something about the way that I had read it was that there was, the hanging body. I don't know if that was the exact location or not.
I just remember that being a thing, and then
there was a hanging body, but
from the body too.
Wait, what is it?
Isn't that also the scene where you just like you have to hang from that body to get over to a different
right? Or you at least have to get rid of that body so you can hang on what it's hanging on or some shit.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember, but
the way that I remember it is there was like a ladder or something like that in like the first time that you encounter it, and then the second time there was not a ladder. It might not have been a ladder. Maybe it was like a swing or something like that. But the second time you encounter it, it's not there anymore. And so the idea was that like your sister had died on this thing. And so when you get back to it, you encounter like her ghost, and that's when you move on together. But anyway, all that to say, no one knows. There's been no accepted theory from the developer as far as I'm
sure the developers don't even have an idea.
They probably don't, right? and that's the way they like it. And the nice thing is, hey, here now 10 plus years later, the three of us are sitting around going, what does this mean? And they're like, like we're still generating content for them, and they're like, this is the best like I guess investment to return ratio we could have asked for.
Right.
They're literally like, we don't fucking know. And now we're still having content made for us.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's fun though to have like something open-ended so you can interpret it yourself. But at the same time, I like to have the option to have the answer too. Like I want to have I want both. Like I want to be able to interpret it myself, but if I want the answer, I can find it.
You want closure.
Yeah, I want closure.
Yeah. I think unfortunately, it's just not the way this game is. It's not like this game is not here for anyone's comfort in any definition of the word. Because it's like it's meant to make you uncomfortable in every sense, whether it's visual, auditory, that sort of thing. And then it's meant to make you uncomfortable by the sense that you have no idea what the story is or where it ended or where it started or any of that stuff. So it's almost like, well, I don't know, it gets a little bit meta, but like in a way, like Limbo being the concept of like nothingness, right? That's basically what the game is. Like the game doesn't have there's no box to fit this game into, and therefore it fades into nothingness. And there's something kind of cool about that.
Whoa, I don't like this.
It's fucked up.
You're getting too deep for Liquid.
I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm season out.
But I mean, Limbo in itself is supposed to have no beginning or end, and so like in that sense, for the game to have no structure makes a lot of sense. It's
which I think is beautiful that the ending and the beginning are the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
No ending,
exactly.
No beginning. The ending cyclical. Is the beginning. Weird.
100%.
But you go ahead.
So, I guess just in general for me, the reason why I chose this game, or the reason why this game has had so much influence on me, was because this was my first step into indie games. And I
Mhm.
think for a lot of people, and uh, I don't know the exact data or the facts on this, but I would argue that Limbo is probably the first step into indie games for a lot of people, whether they know it or not. I think that Limbo, as far as indie games go, had the biggest splash, um, earliest in the like indie game revolution that we've seen in the past 10 years. And
Yeah.
I think that not just for myself, but the influence on the gaming industry as a whole, I think that Limbo, I think that the ripples that echoed away from Limbo were much more influential than these developers ever intended them for the game to be. Um, and for that reason, now today, just like I said earlier, playing Disco Elysium uh, here 11 years after Limbo has been released, I think says a really it says a lot about the power that this game had, in its time, and the art style, the audio design, the fact that they like could create a game that's so simple but so elegantly influential, across a decade of time, says a lot about this game in general.
Mm.
Absolutely, and I mean, I'm not even like I said back then, it was like Journey for me, and that was kind of the branch into it. But I always saw this game around, even years before I
Yeah.
was into indie games. I'd always seen it around. I'd like I'd go on the PSN network or whatever, or PlayStation Network, and see that game sometimes on the main screen, and I'd be like, "What the hell is that? Why?" Why is this here? Like, why is it next to Metal Gear?
Where's Call of Duty?
No.
How do I get to Call of Duty?
Yeah, but I think even people who aren't huge like gamers, but like play Call of Duty and shit like that, probably know what Limbo is, which
Mm.
is impressive.
They at least know that it is a game.
Yeah, exactly, and probably know what it looks like because it's one of a kind. And I think
Oh,
that's the
it's
beautiful
that
thing.
black and white one, isn't it? Like black
Yeah,
with a white logo.
and that's a
Yeah, I've
beautiful
seen
thing.
that. Yeah.
I mean, and how long did it take them, to make their next game after Limbo came out? I can't even remember now. It was a
I
while.
mean,
It was like
4 or 5 years at least.
yeah, yeah. So it seems like they put a lot of time into their games too, which is
Mhm.
oh yeah, 2016. Okay, so
Yeah,
6
5
years.
years.
So yeah, it's crazy.
So do we have like a conclusion or something?
A conclusion.
Like what like what do
I
we
want
think?
it like this is where I want to have in the future. Maybe not now, but where we're all like, you know, of enjoyment. Was it a 1, 2, or 3? And then you're like, I enjoyed this to a 3 level, and then Arlo's like, no, I enjoyed it to a 1 level. I hated it. And then you're like, I thought it was okay, and that's a 2 level. Then you put all that together and get your is it worth it? But I can't figure out a damn score system because like 333 is 9, unless you're saying all perfect score is a fucking 10. You know what I mean? But then you don't have a
Yeah.
9.
I mean, whatever the score system is, it should be a number that you can't average
Yeah,
on at an even number. So
exactly.
like 5 is a bad, in my opinion, 5 is a bad scoring system because you can just say 3 to everything and then it's just average across the board, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm.
I think it should be like a 6, right? Like if you're already thinking about going with a 5, you should go with a 6. There,
Well,
if you
yeah, I
do
mean,
that, then someone's forced to either go 3, which is below average, or 4, which is above, right? So like you
this
have
is
to go to 1.
yeah, but this is what we do here. This is how we score things in Norway. We use like a dice or like a die.
Hmm.
We roll a die. So if something gets a 6, it's like top score, and a 1 is like the lowest score.
Hmm.
So it goes from 1 to 6 here.
Yeah, 1 to 6 makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
18 is our high
That's what
score.
we do grades too here, 1 to 6.
Yeah, it's hard to rate games like this because I think that um, there is there's two schools of thought, right? So I think with Limbo, a game like Limbo, or any other game that arguably has a lot of influence on its genre, like moving forward, right? If you were talking about platformers, right, like in general, you're talking about just like 3D platformers, and you're talking about Super Mario 64. There's a huge difference between the actual gameplay experience of Super Mario 64 versus the influence that Super Mario 64 had over the gaming industry, right?
Right.
So for me, right, if I were to rate Limbo on those two genres or like groups, right? I would say that the first one would be actual gameplay on Limbo. I probably give it like, if we're allowed to do halves, I probably give it like a 4.5 or a 5. Like I think that it's
out
like
of 6, out of 6, you're saying?
out of 6, yes.
Yeah.
So I think that the game itself, the puzzles are challenging enough to be fun, but not so unique that other games haven't done it in the past. I think that the way that they design things probably took influence from games like the old like Zelda games, and like even going even simpler than that, like Bomberman, that sort of thing. Like I think that none of the puzzles were so unique that another game hasn't done them in some form in the past. But if I were to rate it on a level of influence, I'd probably call it a 6, because I think that Limbo on its own started a revolution of indie gaming that didn't exist before. It existed on such a impactful level that people started to shift their attention away from AAA games that were being funded by millions and millions of dollars at a time, to games that are being funded by tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time, and recognize that you can get just as good, if not a better quality product in 4 hours of gameplay as you can with a AAA title that's been funded through millions of dollars and maybe exists for like, or not exists, but maybe the gameplay exists for like 12 hours, right?
Right.
Like people started to recognize that making something that's simple and elegant is more impactful. It's more dense in its influence over the game, over the industry as a whole, and that started to create games like Celeste and Braid, and Hollow Knight, and all these other indie platformers that have influenced gamers as well as the industry alike.
Yeah, and I'd argue a lot of that is because there's passion in it as well. It's not just a money game, right? It's not just, hey, this game's getting made so that we can sell, 1 million copies. This game's getting made because, well, we're passionate about it and we want to fucking give this to you guys because we love this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is why after this, this era of indie games, back in the 2010, 2012 era, shit started to kind of grow with indie games, but then you also started to see a lot more like AA studios really releasing like very passionate projects. It was finally a time for people to like release the things they were passionate about, and Kickstarter became a thing after that, and you saw all these video games that really had so much heart and soul in them versus your emptiness and shit that came with like games like Call of Duty and later Assassin's Creed games, because it was all a money game. It was like, hey, let's like get these people's fucking money whatever way we can. And so I think that this was one of the greatest, if not the greatest thing for video games to ever happen, because now it's made it to where we're not just filled with like microtransactions, and we're not just downloading, the next add-on and all that shit. Like, this exists, and
Thank
it's helped the
God.
video game industry. Yeah, thank God. So it's honestly, I would also say this game, as far as influence goes, would also get a 6. Like, it would have to, because that era and what it did for video games and just video game creators and developers, even publishers, it was a great thing. I mean, you see all these companies, like I was talking about earlier, doing the it at Xbox and the Nindies like directs and stuff like that. You see that because there were companies like Playdead back then having the balls to like just release what they wanted to release and do it without worrying about money or any of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a beautiful thing to see.
And it's not that other companies weren't doing it, right? Like I think there have been indie developers since the beginning of gaming, but the one that had the most influence, the one that like created something that would start to shape the way that people think was Limbo. And so like whether it was Playdead's fault or not, whether they intended to do it or not, they created that turning stone. And I think for that they have to be applauded.
Right.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I mean, I see this shit all the time with like Japanese developers and shit like that. They always just releasing these games that are kind of going under the radar because you have all these big studios who are doing the big next Final Fantasy or the big next Dark Souls, and they don't get the recognition that they deserve. But I think because of this, I don't know why I wanted to say resurgence, but because of what Limbo and all those games did back then, has made it easier for those studios, and now they're getting more attention. I mean, video games developed by studios that you would never hear about breaking 1 million sales are doing it now. Video game developers I've been following since I remember being a gamer when I was a little boy. So it's crazy to see, and I think that I couldn't prove it, but I think it was because of stuff like this right here, and because of that, I love Limbo and Playdead. Love you. I love the Danish. But yeah, it's horny.
How about you, Vep? You got anything to add to that?
It's a really good little game. I don't really have anything else to add. I enjoyed it.
But you didn't love it.
No,
and
I
that's
wouldn't say
okay.
that.
By the way, like I like having some discourse here because there's.
I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. There's a high level of danger of becoming an echo chamber, right? And like I don't want that to happen. Just because anybody in this group feels like they have to agree with anybody else, right? Like I fully expect that there are games that I'm going to recommend for everybody to play where at least one person is like, this is not the game for me, and that's totally fine.
Well, I mean, I did enjoy it. I think that I was a little bit too late to it. It would probably have been better if I played it a lot sooner, if that makes sense. Because now I've played, like, it's like you can always say that, well, this was the original, like this is what made everything else or like inspired these and these types of games, but that doesn't mean that the original is the best,
100%.
No, I agree. Yeah.
So it's like I feel like I kind of regret not playing it sooner because of that. But like I can acknowledge it that it's for its time. It was probably a great game.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Because I mean, like even I think that goes to for basically any sort of any art, right? If you're looking at movies or music or anything like that, like I fucking love Metallica. Like I am not afraid to admit that. I really, really enjoy listening to Metallica. But the only reason I like listening to Metallica is because I listened to them like 20 years ago. And nowadays, there are bands that were influenced by Metallica who make way better music than Metallica made, right? And so like the predecessor doesn't necessarily mean that they did it better. And that's not the way that things should work anyway, right? Like the way that it should work is that somebody breaks the mold. That mold being broken influences other people to continue, like to pick that ball up and to continue running with it. And they should get further than the people behind them, right? That's just the way it should be. It's the way it should be for all of eternity. So I 100% know what you're saying. If like, I'm really looking forward to playing Celeste because I think that once I play it, I'm gonna be like, I understand why everybody is loves this game so much, and I'm gonna be able to recognize that, or I guess to go through the evolution with Limbo instead of against Limbo, right? And so, I understand the regret, I guess, the kind of regret that you didn't get to experience Limbo earlier because you don't get to grow with it. right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Casablanca, right? Casablanca, it's great movie when did Casablanca come out? Like the 40s or
47,
50s?
I think, or yeah.
Yeah, it's like great movie, but nowadays I look at it and I'm like, this shit's in like 360p, and I don't care that much. Like, I want to watch Avatar 2 with the boys in 8K resolution, please.
Yeah, it's kind of like with parents and kids. Like, you always want your kids to do better than you in a way. It's like
Yes.
you nurture them to to do even better. You know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of in the same way, right?
Constant progression. That's the way that the world should be, right? And that includes all of art as well.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I may be completely wrong here, but I think innovation is the most important thing in any kind of art form. And this is why video games that take these concepts and then use them to be better, supposedly, like what you guys are saying, like with Metallica and other bands coming after them and creating that same sound or maybe doing it better. They are never better though, because they weren't being innovative, they were being creative with something that already existed.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference I'm saying is here. When you create something like when the Metroidvania series was created with Symphony of the Night and even before that with Super Metroid, those games, that was innovation at peak, top of the peak. Like that is innovation at its best. And so video game companies came after that and created other Metroidvanias, and those games ended up being incredible. Maybe even being considered masterpieces just like the others. But because of the innovation, I think that is why they're held at a higher value, and they always will be, than some of these other games that are created after. And I actually agree with Vep. I mean, this game may not be as great anymore. You play a game from 1980s, like a great example of this, I just recently, like last year, beat the very first Legend of Zelda game. Hadn't played that shit since I was a kid. Replaying it was not a great experience. I didn't have fun with it. It didn't age well, but I can acknowledge and respect what that game did for the industry and the innovation, and why The Legend of Zelda will always be more important than any other action adventure game.
It's very interesting that you say that. No, just continue.
No, I was just going to say, but obviously, as so many action adventure games afterwards were 10 times better, and almost every Zelda game in that series is better than the first one. But yeah, that's where I've always stood.
Yeah, I just felt like that was a good chance to mention that, to kind of like wrap up in a way. Because when you say that you played something you played as a kid and it was not a good experience, because I am going to be the next one out to suggest a game, and I had the same feeling about the game that I'm going to suggest.
Oh, really?
But I was no, I was afraid that would happen to me too. Before
I thought you were saying it did happen to you. I was like, oh shit, Vep.
No, it didn't. But I'm gonna save that for when we get to it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I was so scared of that, because should it be a secret, or should we just reveal it at the end of the episode what the next one will be?
I think you go ahead, Arlo.
No, I was gonna ask the same thing. That's like I'm really curious about Liquid's thoughts on that.
I personally, I don't mind it being like out there, but I'm also cool with keeping it a secret, just in case, like, say we end the podcast and then somebody's like, oh wait, I changed my mind, right? Then they're like, oh shit, we already said it in that last episode that we were going to do Super Meat Boy, so we can't do that now, or I don't want to do that anymore. So it's up to you guys.
So I think that there is definitely some value in revealing the next one, because it's not really revealing, right? Because the other two people don't know, right? So like for everyone, so that everybody understands, we have not discussed this before this moment. And so both Liquid and I do not know the game that Vep is going to pick. I think that doing it live on the podcast is a really cool choice. And I think it also gives anybody who's listening the option or the opportunity to play it with us, right? So like there's not like we're gonna do this on our own and then boom, here's the episode. Like it gives them an opportunity to be involved as well, and to maybe to feel like they're part of the narrative.
Okay, you convinced me. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I have to admit though, because I can't keep that a secret, but I'm pretty sure that Liquid knows what game that I'm suggesting though.
Is it Hollow Knight?
That is too long.
I will say neither of you will know what's coming from me, and I'm going to keep it a mystery until that podcast happens, whenever that happens.
Cool, that sounds good.
But all yeah, right, so, I say we do talk about it.
So do we have anything else we have to say about Limbo at the moment?
I honestly think we covered every ground we could cover, and I thought that was a good ending where we were at with the the innovation part. So
I'm good. How about you, Vep?
Yeah, I feel like I said what I wanted to say. All
right, sweet. Well, drum roll, please.
Yeah, let's hear it. What's next?
Okay.
And actually explain. I actually have a way we're going to do this, but and we're going to explain it here live. But yeah, you reveal it first, and then I'll talk about that.
Okay, so it's kind of difficult because it's like they're two games, but I want to suggest the second one, not the first one. Because the second one is the one that is important to me. So I'm like, but they're both very short. So, or like at least the first one is. The second one is a little bit longer.
How long did it take you to beat the second one?
Good question. Because I can't tell because they're both in the same package.
Oh yeah.
So I can't tell.
Arlo's like, wait a minute, hold on a second.
So, okay, I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
This was okay, so when we talked about games that I have played lately, and I didn't remember which ones, obviously this was one of them. I just didn't want to say it. So one of the games that I've been playing lately is Noir 1 and 2.
Little platformers that came out on the I think originally one was on the Wii, or second one was on the Wii, and then the first one was PS2, right?
First one was on PlayStation 1. And
right, okay, it goes back further. 2. I've actually never played either one of them, so.
Yeah, they're both on PlayStation. And I never played the first one until now, which is why I didn't want to recommend it, because I don't have the attachment to it.
Right.
The second one I do. But it's also like, so, and you don't have to have played the first one to play the second one. Because they're not connected in that sense. Well, they kind of are, but like, it's not in a significant way.
But here's where my idea came in. All right, so hear me out on this, Arlo, and Vep. Of course, I don't think you'll have any qualms with it since
I've never even heard of this game. I'm sorry. So I'm having to dig into it a little bit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I kind of figured because this
is a Namco game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so just so the audience, like for their context. Klonoa, Klonoa. Klonoa. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Go ahead, Vet.
Klonoa 1 and 2. First one is called The Door to Phantom Isle, and the second one is called Lunatea's Veil.
Yes, and so Arlo, here's where my idea came in. All right, because I know that Vep's not going to be against this since she's already finished both of them. I'm thinking we do 2 episodes. We'll record the first episode, which will be called Klonoa, Door to Phantasma, or whatever it's called. And then we'll do the second episode, but they'll be back to back, kind of like what we just did with 0 and 1. Mm-hmm. But we'll do both of these games. We'll cover the first one, but then we'll cover the second one. So Vep can hold in all of her thoughts about why the second one is so much better, if that's the case, than the first, and we can experience them back to back as well, so we can kind of have all of our thoughts there and break it all down.
Yeah, but they were both recently
they were re-released, yeah, right?
Yeah, re-released, but they're also they're not remakes, but they're also not well, I mean, I guess they are kind of.
I think they were based on remakes that came out on the Wii, if I remember correctly, reading about the Switch port.
Oh, so you can get it on the Switch now.
Yep, or you're on Steam.
Yeah, but they're all like they're in a package together on Steam. Okay. which is why I played both of them at the same time. But yeah, I played them on stream earlier this month. So
okay, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I love, as you all know, I love platformers. So anytime I get a chance to play a new platformer or an old platformer that's new to me, I absolutely fucking love that shit. So some of my favorite games of all time are platformers. So
I've seen this character before with this weird like hand ears. This is some Japanese shit. This is some fucking weeb shit, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm just letting you both know I recognize some weeb shit.
there had to be a little bit of influence from Sonic the Hedgehog, in my opinion, looking at the character. That's just me.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I thought when I first saw it. But it's made by Namco, not Sega. So
yeah,
but again,
I have so many things to say, but I don't want to say them now because I'm going to save it for when we
shall.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. That looks like fun.
I now need to order it.
I can see the fear in Arlo's eyes.
No, I'm good. No, I grew up playing like 3D platformers like this, right? So like I'm looking forward to it. I just haven't played one in a long time, so I'm curious to see what my reaction is nowadays to it.
They're kind of like 2.5D.
Yeah, it moves along the line. It's kind of
yeah. There's side scrollers for the most part. No,
what game did I think it was similar to? I think Little Big Planet, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
We're getting nostalgic on these ones, I think.
Yeah.
Klonoa. Is it Klonoa or is it Klonoa?
I always say Klonoa, but I don't know.
It's Klonoa because like it's Japanese. So
Klonoa.
when it's when it's Japanese, it's like that's what sounds natural to say. Klonoa.
Klonoa.
And they also say the names in the game, and that's the closest one.
I'm half Korean. I can do that.
That's true.
But yes, is that a wrap, guys?
That's a wrap.
Yeah, this is fun.
I was gonna say, well, actually,
hitting right at 4:20.
Yeah,
perfect timing.
This has been going on for an hour and 46 minutes.
Yeah, that's not too bad, right?
It isn't? I thought it was really long.
That's why we're out. Liquid, Arlo, and Vep, we're out. We love you guys. We'll see you next time. And if we don't, well, that's because somebody didn't show up. See ya.